guys! So home decor is one of my favorite things to make. Making a side table or even tufted furniture can be kind of intimidating. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make a tufted side table with a little hack called a staple gun. So here is what we need. You need a wooden wheel, which you can get at the hardware store for $6. You need a staple gun, some scrap fabric, you need 6 buttons that are all about the same size, fabric glue, scissors, polyfill, and then for the base, we're using a wire trash can. All right, let's get started. Step 1, you want to place your fabric face side down on the table, and then you want to place your wooden tabletop in the center. You want to cut your fabric in a circle, making sure that you leave a really large border. So you're going to end up fringing this fabric, and you want to make sure that you have enough so that it folds over the edges of the table. And then you also have to remember that you're going to end up tufting the table, which means you're going to add polyfill. So it's better to leave more than not enough. What we're going to do is take a look at how much space we need over the lip of the table. So if we measure that, it's probably about a ½ inch. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm actually going to draw a circle using my pencil. And remember, this is the back side of the fabric. I'm going to draw this circle all the way around my table. This is going to give me a guideline for when I'm fringing my fabric. Our next step is going to be to take our scissor, and we're going to want to cut fringe marks all the way from the outer edge of the circle to where we drew our pencil line. You want to make these about 1 inch apart. These are going to help when we fold over the fabric. Next, we're going to take our fringes and we're going to end up folding them over the table. Now, you want to do about 3/4, and then we're going to flip our table over and stuff it. So with the fringes, it's going to give you a nice, clean fold. So we're going to end up overlapping them. Instead of having to staple each one, I'm going to do a couple at a time. So just like that, I'm going to go in and staple all 3 of those to the back of the table. And I'm going to keep doing that until I get about 3/4 of the way around the table. Once we've stapled our fringes 3/4 of the way around the circle, we're going to flip our table right side up. You can see that we'll be able to reach our hand under the table, so we're going to take small handfuls of our polyfill, and a little at a time, I'm going to stuff this between the table and the fabric, and I want it to be pretty taut. If you have trouble reaching on the inside, you can use a dowel or a ruler to help you stuff to get all the way to the other side. Once you've stuffed the entire inside, you want to make sure that it's pretty full. We're going to flip it back over, and then we're going to use our staple gun to close up the remaining 1/4 of the fringes. And you want to make sure that you pull it pretty tight because you don't want any slack in the fabric. Okay, once you've got the bottom of your table completely sealed, we're going to flip it back over and set it aside. Next, we're going to take the 6 buttons and our scraps of fabric, and we're going to lay our buttons in the center of each one of these square scraps. You want to make sure that if your button is rounded or flat, you're consistent with all 6 of them. So either the rounded side is down or up, but we want to make sure that they look even. We're going to take fabric tack, and we're going to place some fabric tack on the back of the button, and we're going to glue the sides of each square up over the button. You may need to trim the fabric as you go and add more glue for each layer that you fold over. We want to take our buttons and place them on the top of the table to figure out which pattern we want to use. Since I have 6 buttons, I'm going to start with 1 in the center and then do a star pattern around them. You can use a ruler to measure them out evenly, or if you're like me, you can just eyeball them. Once you get them exactly where you want them, we're going to use a marker to add a dot under each button. So when we come back with the staple gun, it's easy to see where the staples need to go. I'm going to take all of my buttons off. And I'm going to use my staple gun to place a staple over each dot. Make sure that you press down so that the staple goes all the way through the fabric and the polyfill into the wood tabletop. Now we're going to take our seam fabric glue and we're going to put fabric glue over each staple and make sure that we put enough so that each button holds. And then we're going to place each button over and let our fabric glue dry. You want to make sure that you let this dry for at least 24 hours before you use the tabletop. Once our tabletop is dry, we're going to flip it over and we're going to add the basket to the bottom to make the base of the table. We're going to use longer staples in our staple gun just to make sure that it's really reinforced in the back of the table. How easy was that? We made our very own tufted side table in just a few hours, and it was really inexpensive. Can you imagine how much that would cost in the store? Okay, so if you love this DIY, please share it with your friends, and if you decide to make your very own, make sure that you tag Craftbox Girls or put a link in the comments or share your pictures with us. Stay tuned for more creative DIYs.